Death is hardly ever permanent in comic books, especially for incredibly popular characters that fans would be upset about if they should never return. These days, when a company announces that someone is going to die, it is usually a simple way to sell books, and those characters will most likely be back within a few years. However, there were always a few exceptions. Jason Todd, the second Robin who was infamously killed by the Joker after fans voted that he should die, he was permanently dead too. Until he came back as the Red Hood, that is. Uncle Ben, Peter's kind uncle who taught him with great power must also come great responsibility. He is permanently dead, and if they bring him back, well, I'm officially done with comic books. There are some characters that seem to die all the time, though. Wolverine has the ability to regenerate from any wound and has shown to grow back from the tiniest molecule. Now, this hasn't always been the case, and there have been many times in the past where he actually did die. Alright people, we decided that we would count any of the alternate timelines or realities of the X-Men, and there are a whole lot of them, where Wolverine stayed permanently dead. We are not counting any time that they killed Wolverine, but brought him back in the same issue for a mere plot device. Alright, everybody got it? Great, let's do this! Number 1, Days of Future Past. A classic. It was in Uncanny X-Men number 142 that we were introduced to the fantastic plotline of Days of Future Past, which saw the near extinction of mankind at the hands of the evil Sentinels. To stop this genocide, Kitty Pryde's consciousness was sent back to her younger body to stop the assassination of Senator Kelly, which would bring about the Sentinel program. Spoiler alert, it did not work. Much like the other franchises with an AI apocalypse, Judgment Day always finds a way. In the future, however, we are shown an aged Wolverine who is still fighting the good fight. When he goes to attack a Sentinel in his sick bomber jacket, we were greeted to a scene that shows the Sentinel turn its laser on Wolverine and disintegrate him. With this being an alternate timeline, this Wolverine was very much dead. However, in the past, Wolverine was alive and well, but that one still died, so we're counting it. Number 2. Exiles number 4. The Exiles were a group of multiverse-jumping mutants that were trying to fix the timelines of alternate realities. The series was a fun look at the insanity that can happen when writers are really taken off the leash and come up with crazy scenarios. When the team jumps into an alternate version of the Dark Phoenix saga, they are shown a world where Jean Grey did not sacrifice herself on the moon. Instead, Wolverine was forced to kill her. While there are times when Wolverine is shown coming back from even the worst wounds, in this reality, he is killed from the resulting energy explosion along with the rest of the team. Number 3. Marvel Zombies. Okay. Technically, he is the living impaired in this one, but it's our list, so we're still counting it. In a world where the superhero population is overrun by a strange virus brought to them by the Sentry, Wolverine is on the long list of characters who are infected. Now, we've had a few discussions about this around the office, and certain people believe that Wolverine's healing factor should have been able to hold the virus at bay, maybe making his healing factor no longer work, thus giving us a cool story of an unpowered Wolverine trying to save the world from a zombie apocalypse. But hey, we're not comic book writers. What do we know? Number 4. Somebody kills the Marvel Universe. Now, we're going to put a few of these together. Trust me, it'll save some time. In Garth Ennis's Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe, we are given a look at a Frank Castle who lost his family in a superhero battle. Man, Ennis hates superheroes. Eventually, he is hired to kill all the heroes, and unsurprisingly, this brings him to Wolverine, who he kills by electrocuting him. I feel like someone needs to sit down and concretely decide what Wolverine's power level is, because we are real loose with the healing factor idea, but I digress. In Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, Deadpool is made even crazier and decides to wipe out everyone. He eventually comes up against Wolverine and cuts off his head using a sword that counters his healing factor, which at least was actually canon, so I'll give them that one. Number 5. X-Men Forever. People look back on Chris Claremont's X-Men run fondly. So, eventually, he was given an alternate reality where he could continue with the stories he had planned. The series offered some fun ideas, but one of the craziest was killing off Wolverine at the beginning. Even though the character was featured heavily in his original run of the series, Claremont had Storm disintegrate Logan with a blast of lightning. Apparently, Wolverine's one real weakness is electricity. Who knew? Oh, and it was an evil version of Storm, in case anyone was wondering. Number 6. Ultimatum. The Ultimate Universe was Marvel's attempt to modernize their characters, while bringing new readers into a new universe that didn't have 60 years of baggage. It worked for a little while, giving fresh ideas and takes on characters in a more modern setting. But, as is the case with any comic, especially the X-Men, the longer it lasts, the more convoluted it gets. So, Marvel decided to give a big event that would wipe a good portion of the slate clean. That was Ultimatum, an event that saw a character's death on almost every page. I'm serious, it's like the comic version of a snuff film. In Ultimatum, Magneto has almost destroyed the entire world. Eventually, he is confronted by the X-Men, and Magneto uses his powers to rip Logan's adamantium from his body. Luckily, Wolverine uses his dying breaths to stab the evil mutant and save what was left of the world. Number 7. Age of Ultron. This story saw a time-jumping Wolverine going back to kill Hank Pym before he could create Ultron, who would eventually take over the world in the future. Of course, as is the case with many time travel stories, once Wolverine does the deed and heads back to the future, he discovers a world that is even worse off than when he left it. So, the only thing he can do is go back in time again and stop himself from killing Pym. And how does he do this? He kills himself. Number 8. Young X-Men. Another alternate timeline in the Young X-Men series, known as the End of Days, Wolverine was killed by the mutant Dust, who was a hero, but went a little crazy in this reality. Knowing that he can't stop her, he doesn't even try. She literally tears the flesh from his bones with her sand powers, once again calling into question the fast and loose decisions with the whole healing factor. Number 9. What Ifs. There are so many what-if storylines where Wolverine is killed off that we're just going to touch on some of our favorites. In one, Wolverine becomes a vampire and is hunted by a Frank Castle armed with silver bullets, stakes, and the ghost of Doctor Strange. I'll let that one sink in for a moment. Another one sees Wolverine actually finding his son Daken and raise him. Of course, everything goes bad and he is forced to kill his son and then take his own life. Another one has him as a version of the Hulk because he was cursed by the Wendigo. However, he can control his powers because of his healing factor, but he does die in a battle with an army of super soldiers who are controlled by the Red Skull, who was pretending to be Steve Rogers and take over America. God, that's a big sentence. Seriously though, what if tales do not like letting Wolverine live? I'm starting to think that the writers at Marvel have a bet as to who can kill him the most. Number 10. Logan, the superhero movie that proved that the only villain that your heroes can't defeat is old age. In this film, an aged Logan is trying to take care of Charles Xavier as his mind slowly goes. Logan is also dealing with the fact that as his body ages, his healing factor isn't able to hold off the effects of his adamantium skeleton, which is slowly poisoning him. The duo go on the run trying to protect a young Laura Kinney, clone and sort of daughter to the former X-Men. In the end, Logan dies defending his daughter, finally meeting his end with his heart in his hand. Who put these onions here? Number 11. Death of Wolverine. This is the big one, right? The one that was said to be the actual death of Wolverine. That's right, Marvel was going to kill off one of their most popular characters that was literally in half of their books. I mean, was there a team that Wolverine wasn't on? This story saw a Wolverine that had lost his healing factor going up against the evil men who made him. In the end, he managed to kill Dr. Cornelius, but was then coated in adamantium and killed. That's it. Wolverine's dead. Except we just got stories with Old Man Logan, who is Wolverine, but we also got X-23 taking over as the all-new Wolverine in some of the best plots for the character. Also, Wolverine didn't stay dead and came back a few years later, but hey, at least they didn't do something stupid like giving him the ability to heat up his claws or anything. So, there you have it, folks. Those are just some of the few times that saw Wolverine die and actually stay dead. Well, except for that last one, but that's okay, we'll let it slide. Just remember, the next time you see one of your favorite heroes die, give it a few pages or issues, and they'll be back. Thank you guys so much for watching this video on how to kill Wolverine. If you like this video, please leave a comment down below with a superhero or villain you would like to see get killed in a list next. If you want more of me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DanTProducer or on Twitch at DanTStreamer. Be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and click that little bell to make sure you get those notifications. Also, be sure to join the Comicstorian Premium membership with early access to many content over on patreon.com/Comicstorian. Thank you guys again, and I will see you next time.